think we keep this one just because it's one of the rare reasons why I would cut a stream when it's not planned to be cut. Honestly, if like at the moment I received a call from my mom and for some reason I get to like feel my phone vibrate and everything, and she tells me I'm going to the hospital, fine, I'd cut my stream for that. But like, we would need something that is like close to me and that needs that kind of support. So let's read this. Am I the asshole for refusing to drive a relative to the hospital at 3 a.m.? I, 20, female, refused to drive family relative to the hospital because my parent disregarded my feeling. That sounds not good at first. I sound like a horrible person, but here's the story. I come from a shitty family and I hate my father. He's been distant my whole life. Growing up, my mom had to make do with her own medication experiments whenever me and my sibling would get sick because he was too lazy to drive to the hospital. He missed birthdays, recitals, important life events because he was too busy with his friends. If it's with job, to some point, I would be like, I get it. Maybe sometime you need to make ends meet, but like with his friends, maybe less. Fast forward to 18. My father forces me to get my license. I have an undiagnosed anxiety disorder. So I don't like the fact that it's undiagnosed, but I guess like if they didn't put the money in to be able to like get the diagnosis, they would not get it. I am terrified of driving. Regardless of it, he forced me to get it. I thought it was his way of trying to make me independent. But the truth was he just wanted me to be his family chauffeur. When I hit 20, my dad got me a nice car and I was so happy, but I shouldn't have been. You see, this was a way to control where I was going since he felt entitled to know because, after all, he paid for the car. So the car was mostly used for family matters. So picture this. It's exam week. I'm stressed about all the studying I have to do since I'd missed time driving my mother to the hospital to visit my aunt. So all those trips added to even more stress. Note, we live in a very busy area in a shitty country, so everyone drive recklessly and there is no there's traffic. Is it the US? Okay, no, sorry. It's kind of free, but let's go. So my father calls my mom, didn't tell me personally, and saying my cousins will be staying over for a doctor's visit. Tell my name to drive her there. I was pissed since I had to study, but I figured it would be a quick stop. I ended up to be a 4-hour line where we were stuck in traffic for so long. I was tired and I started shaking from exhaustion since I didn't get good sleep either. They're finally done, so I drive home trying my best to avoid the stress until we finally arrive and my mom gives me a long list of errands to run. I was seeing red. I didn't want to embarrass her in front of the cousins, so I just went quietly, dropped them off, and drove off. As soon as I did, I started having a panic attack. My body would tense up and my vision would go white for a couple of seconds. You don't want to have that while you're driving, by the way. Followed by confusion and wondering where I was, almost fainting in the herd of traffic. This keeps happening for about an hour, so I drove home. I was so exhausted, I didn't even confront my mom. So it's 3 a.m. I'm doing exam work and my mother comes into my room telling me I have to drive my cousin to the hospital. I refuse. My mom then texts me, says to stop being childish and tell her what happened today. And she tell her what happened today in traffic. And her answer was, so what? Stop overreacting. Okay, it's not how you treat anxiety, by the way. I then realized both my mom and my dad only care about anyone but their kids. So I told her off. She called a taxi and drove the relative to the hospital. They came back home and now my mom is upset with me. She hasn't told my dad yet, but when she does, I'm thinking of returning my dad's gift. Honestly, at that point, do that. I feel bad for not driving the woman to the hospital though. So like that's a long setup to make us understand like how it was just not the day and people were not open for that. This sounds like a raised by narcissist post at some point, like a long rant more than my the asshole kind of section. So yeah, in that situation, clearly, I don't think OP's the asshole, but there's some talks that should have been made way before that. If it makes sense for you, like the part about the anxiety disorder that is undiagnosed, sadly, should have been taken care of and talked with on a calm mind. It's not when the crisis happened that it's time to go and explain like why you can't. Exams, I don't know what the parents are doing as a job, by the way, but like for those who never did college or never did university, those moments in the year are extremely stressful and energy, what the word, energivore, is it something that we can say in English? Like they will deplete your energy very fast. You think it's easy, but then you go through it and you're like, okay, so this is literally a second job, but it's not paid. Being a full-time student, like having to go to those 6 to 7 class a week, plus the studying, plus the project that you have to do off class, you're basically spending 40 to 50 hours a week for school. But you still need to, like in our case, probably not, but like you still need to pay for your rent, you still need to pay for all your stuff around the place. So it's not going to make it something easy to be able to survive this particular week in the school year if you stack things together. So yeah, it's to some point kind of unacceptable for someone to be like underpaid and actually not paid while you do studying, and being expected to like carry on all of those side tasks on the side. She didn't talk about a job, so there's that part that like goes onto her side, but still very unpleasant as a situation.